Okay, so this video is just gonna be me shooting from the hip, as usual, and something that I guess I was a little bit incensed about what I saw about QP. Of course, it is a point of contention right now, um, from the agenda and some Bible verses that relate to the QP struggle right now, and some Psalms that I want to sing some Psalms. I want to go back into singing Psalms again because that is like such a healthy thing to do. Forget about exercise and food, but singing the Psalms is very healthy. It's spiritual food. So I just wanted to be upfront, with who I am and what I am and what I'm going through in this context. I'm on here quite a bit because as long as they let me, like there's times when I haven't been able to come online because I don't know how to figure out how to do the live streaming or whatever. But as long as they make it easy, sorry, I am here. So if, and at first it was just a message for my kids out there. If anything had ever happened to me, and I always felt like um, media should be more focused on families getting to analyze their family because I was estranged from my family for such a long time. And then when I came back, my grandmother was dead, had died, and my uncle, my favorite uncle, was dead, and there's no video footage of him or anything for me to really say, this is my lineage, this is my heritage, this is what my uncle was like. And I'd rather study them all day to just understand what their weaknesses was, what I should stay away from, and what their strengths were, to know maybe where I might find my strengths. So that, and for me, the analysis part of social media is always the juicy part for me. I always like to dissect what's going on in popular culture because my mom, is a publicist and also a rock star in her own right. So she always, as a child, as a youth, growing up, my mom always did have to stay abreast of what was going on. And so that kind of trickled down to me and what I think is important to glean from what is happening in society right now. Because as an artist, you always do have to be knowledgeable about what is going on around you. How are people communicating and identifying messages? And how can you use that to communicate your message, right? So, you always live in the context of the society, as even Elijah did and Moses did, and they were in the context of their society, and that's how they communicated. They weren't communicating about Noah's Ark, they were communicating about freeing. Moses wasn't communicating about Noah's Ark, he was communicating about freeing his people from Pharaoh, right? So you may, you know, so and now back into the context of myself, what's going on with me? That's first, that's the filter of which I will be um, analyzing everything through, and right now, at this time, right now, I'm not rosy posy, but I'm very, very, very broken, very, broken. I am very broken. Um, I spent my 40th birthday at church just crying, 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 wailing, wailing, wailing cries. Like I was 5 years old, and I was just at church like a baby. It was a horrible time for me. I felt horrible. And because this was no doubt one of the worst years of my life. And do I say that every year? No, no, I don't. So I will give this year, well, thus far, anything could happen. An ark could bring me out of these waters that I'm drowning in, but it is what it is right now. And that's where it is. Like, why it was one of the worst years to go through? Well, I threw in the towel at school after many, many, many tries, many years of tries. This was, my one of uh, my final tries, right? This is I'm going to give this a try again. We're going to see what happens, right? Hoping for the best, relying on God. Let's see what happens. First, the only course I can get into is the course of which I petitioned three times against a certain professor because he was extremely abusive. And the and now that I know how the petition process goes, that they just offhand just say no for the sake of saying no after the first and third, and that's kind of what they did to me, and I took every time to heart. But anyway, so I petitioned against this man three times, and then I had to enter into his course because there was no other course I could take while working at the same time. So that's how it started. That's how the year started for me. And then and then what happened? Sorry. And um yes, the catalyst for having the worst year, one of the worst years ever of my life. So then it ended in my boss telling me, well, why don't you go have a cup of tea and think about me taking away your paycheck? A cup of tea? A cup of tea to see if my ass is going to be on the street with my son? Go home and have a cup of tea? There's a lot of things I can't forgive. So it started with that because, as I said, I was working and going to school at the same time. And, as the schools were opening and closing, there was some mishap about what work should be done. And I'm not going to go through the whole situation again because I get absolutely incensed because the letter clearly is not clear at all. A lot of people were confused, but anyways, I digress. I'm going left. I'm trying to stay right. Trying to stay right. So I'm supposed to go home and have a cup of tea because I'm on a judgment right now where that says not a day late, not a penny short, or I'm evicted, right? So, and my pay, I'm obviously not making bank. Revelation. Everybody's mind is blown. Michelle is not rich by any stretch of the imagination. My paycheck is not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not something I have a cup of tea over. Anyways, I gotta take it back. Take it back. seconds. So at that time, I was being requested to produce 25 hours of PD in 2 days while working. So these are after full time hours. So was it full time or was it? Anyways, I'm working. I'm working full time. Yeah. So I literally, how should I say? How do I want to say what happened to my brain at this point? I had taken in too much knowledge, so much within 2 days that how do I break the bank of your brain? University didn't even do that to me, but my boss could do that to me, okay? To get my rent money. And I was being required to do something that nobody else had to do. It was completely unfair. And it completely broke me. And so at that time, I also was on a waiting list for a course at UFT. And so somebody had dropped out. So I would have to start that course late. So I'd be playing catch up. And my mind was too gone. My brain was too gone to be able to play catch up in my dream course. This was my dream course. I shouldn't have thrown in the towel. There's so much blame that I have for myself, but I was not the only player in this situation. I was not the only player, so there's blame to other parties. And, um, you know, whether that be the devil or whatever, because this is a recurring situation that has happened before with bosses with me. And so I was ashamed of myself that I had let it happen again. It's like the devil knows when you're trying to better yourself. So I tapped out. I threw in the towel, and I know I'm supposed to forgive her, but I don't think that will ever happen. I'll never forgive myself for it, because life won't forgive me for the fact that I was waiting. See, I have some astronomical debts to pay. Hey, that's what it means to go to school. Okay, I have an uncle who's a lawyer. We know that like you acquire some debt in order to get a higher pay grade, so that you kind of like indebted for some time so that you can make the money that you want to make, so that you don't have to be struggling, all right? So I wanted to wait till at least I got that degree so that I could put myself in a tier that is in a pay tier that is able to even think about paying off such astronomical debt. So quitting didn't mean quitting. Oh, she quit. Oh, she threw in the towel. It meant that I have to start paying without a degree, without moving a tier up in astronomical debt. And I have pushed myself into a corner of defeat, I guess. So pray for me. I'm in a serious pickle. And, let this be a lesson to you. I don't know. I can't even say I didn't pray about it, about giving up. Um, I can't even say I wasn't praying at the time. I wasn't. But I can't say I was completely overwhelmed. And I can say that what was the other thing? I can say that, I faltered in faith. Um, and I can say that I thought that God was not able to push me through emotionally. And it's like, duh, God cares about your emotions. He cares about where you're at mentally and how you can handle things mentally. And He will not emotionally push you past your breaking point mentally without recourse. He cares for your emotions. He cares about your emotions. And I should know this because I read the Bible, and the Bible is a very emotional book. If God did not care about our emotions, the I don't know, every sentence is littered with emotion, with the emotion of the prophets, the emotion of the people, the thoughts of the people. So I don't know why I thought it was a no-brainer to just throw in the towel. And it was one of those things where it's just like you have a split second, and that's decision is made in one split second, and you just go on being as busy as hell anyway, so you don't even really know that you've made that decision. But one thing, I was afraid to look at my mark, and because I didn't trust God that I could emotionally handle what my mark was for the course I was currently in. But I was good. I should have believed. I was good, and all I really need to push me over was that course that I didn't take. But I was honestly spazzed out and maxed out and everything out. That's what I felt. I felt there was nothing in the emotional canteen because I had been de-enrolled because of vaccination issues. I had been denied OSAP. I had been, facing the threat of homelessness because I'm not going to go there again. And there's other things, and there's other things on top of those things. I had a son. I was trying to do some things concerning him at the time. So, as in everybody's life, there was a lot going on, but I threw in the towel. So, this 40th birthday is a lesson to everybody. Your 40th birthday is going to come. So, don't give up. Because at your 40th birthday, you want to ring the alarm. You want to sound the alarm that you made it, you did it. But when you could say, oh, I threw in the towel and set myself back 3 years. I threw in the towel and set myself back 3 years. It's not going to be fun. Your 40th birthday is going to come. So when you're afraid and you want to hold back and you don't want to look at your mark, or you don't want to do this because you can't believe that God is going to be there for you or show up, take a second and say to yourself, where do I want to be at my 40th birthday? There's a goal. There's a goal I should have had. If I could go back and talk to myself at 25, I'd be like, where do I want to be at 40? Do I want to be crying? You got two options. Do I want to be bawling bloody murder that the world hates me and something out there is just everything is against me and nothing is working for me? Or do I want to be like, I made it, I achieved, I saw, and I went with God and I believed in God and I did exploits because I believed in God? Or do I want to be a loser? Do I want to feel like the toilet is flushing on my 40th birthday? So pray for me. I'm in a serious pickle, and with my student loan, you have to pay like $1,000. It's pretty serious. Anyways, anybody who has a student loan out there, which is a lot of people, because we live in a country where you can better yourself. You don't have to sweep floors or whatever. You don't have to do menial work. You could do what you dream because there is provision there for you to do what it is God has put on your heart to do. So I'm going to read James 2:3, 2 James verse 3. And ye have respect to him that weareth gay clothing, and say unto him, Sit thou here in a good place. And say to the poor, Stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool. Are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? People don't want to believe Jesus when Jesus said, It is harder for a rich man to go, it is harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. Because, I feel, I'm bitter, okay? I'm bitter. Let me just put it that way. I'm bitter. For the first time in my life, I'm bitter. I can give myself that at 40. I'm bitter. I'm bitter. I'm real bitter. My birthday was horrible because of rich people in my life. And, these people are evil and wicked. And my only consolation is that they will not get away with hurting God's child, which is me. That's my only consolation. And like I said, I'm sick right now because it says that hope deferred makes the heart sick, and I am not physically sick, but my heart is. I am in a bad place. People are trying to call me, talk to me. Let me just speak on that right now. You know, um, I'm having a hard time being social because I'm at a Job time in my life where I just need people to sit with me and to say nothing. And I don't want to shoot the shit with you right now. I don't want to hear about your stupid Tinder date. I can't because I'm broken right now. And, for me, that's the only self-serving message for me, that I don't have to keep giving that message to people, that I can't talk crap with you right now. My life is in too much out of sorts for you to call me about stupidness. I- I'm I need to pray. I need to wail. You know, don't tell my son he tried to make me feel special. He brought me to a $600 restaurant and blah blah blah. No, I just Not that I couldn't care less, but it's just I just am too broken for that. And there's times when you're just too broken for the superficial parts of life that you really don't care about, you know? You really just don't you just don't care about. You're just not, and sometimes I wish I could be a more shallow person so that I wouldn't feel as deeply as I feel or think as deeply as I think about things because ignorance is bliss, but hopefully there is a reason, for being a deep person because it's so easy. I just sometimes I envy those who just watch TikTok videos and get happy. And, for me, it's that they watch the most smut, and that's their happy place. They can relax and have fun, you know, um, because not too much really bothers them or matters to them. I felt very low. Like, it's so weird because we went to work as if nothing was happening. Like, I'm just like, do people really understand what just happened? Like, or am I wall to wall with people that don't really get it? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's just me. But, anyways, to singing a psalm. Now, my favorite psalm, Psalm 25. And I'm going to sing it. I used to, I used to, when I was young, spend hours just singing to God. It was just it was just it was a no brainer. It was just something I would do so often, so off the cuff, just making melody in my heart to the Lord constantly. But you know, the devil is such a liar. He shuts you up. That's what he wants to do. He wants to close you off so that you cannot sing to God anymore. And when it comes out, it's just a weird sound that you just not even enjoying because you're just not used to singing to God anymore. And I'm in the danger zone in that area where I need to get back to hearing myself sing to God, pour out my heart to God, pray to God. You know, I think that's a pretty good place to be. So this psalm is very fitting for um, the QP struggle. And when it comes to a lot of people say, "Oh, the struggling QP workers, the few and far between, they're all making da 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 da." I'm sorry, we've never actually bumped into any of those people. You only bump into the struggling um, QP worker. So where is this mythical person that's making a steady income of 40,000, did they say? Um, and who's just living the good life. Like, where is this person? Where is this person? Because nobody has bumped into them yet in the media, or I don't know them. I only know the struggling education worker. I don't know about this mythical education worker who is just getting their pay and thriving in life. I don't know them. I don't know them. And I don't think they exist. Or they're very few and far between. If the ones that I do know who are doing okay, they got a husband, they got other sources to rely on. So this is like a joke income for them. And that's, people who have joke income, like meaning like, well, this is the icing on the cake for them. They don't need it. I really feel like they should sit down and take a seat because, you know, for, I don't know, for people to tell me to go have a cup of tea when I'm not too sure they understand what survival is. I'm just not, I'm not feeling too positive about that situation. But anyways, hopefully I can sing this right. Let's see. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. Oh my God, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not my enemies triumph over me. Let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy path. Lead me in thy truth, and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. to such that keep his covenant and his testimony. For thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon my iniquity, for it is great. What man is he that feareth the Lord? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell in ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Mine eyes are ever towards the Lord, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. Turn ye unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Bring thou me out of my distresses. Look upon my affliction and my pain, and forgive all of my sins. Consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred. Oh, keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, God is the Redeemer. All of this that I've been speaking to say where I'm at, really, I just want to be honest about where I'm at so that when the miracle happens, when the testimony happens, I know that it wasn't me. Everybody knows it wasn't me because I was pretty low. I am pretty low, and things are not at a good point. Um, but speaking of testimony, yesterday it was Remembrance Day, and the church was talking about um, those who are a living testimony, those who live their life, to do what's good, who fought for Canada's freedom, for rights. What are we doing now? We're fighting against Doug Ford because he wants to take away rights, which is what Putin did again and again until he found himself in a bad place where he was just building upon the bad thing that he did before. He did again. He did again. And Canada, we're letting him do this. We're letting Doug Ford turn into Putin. We're letting our country go down the drain into dictatorship. And we're just letting it happen. And how is it going to happen? Well, as I said, mirror neurons, your biology is always true. It's always a mirror. You mirror people, like when Rob Ford was smoking his crack, and it was the front page of every paper, and every child in school was talking. Because I had at that time, my son was at a very pivotal point in drugs, and to hear that, you know, great news that this big dignitary was smoking crack was just, and videos of him tripping out on crack and buying crack, those mirror neurons, they are a force to be reckoned with. This is why people need to detach from social media, because you will begin to mirror that which you see. And how much more do people do what they see their friends doing when you do something? Your habituation. It's 80% more likely that you're going to do something that you've done again, just because you're going to. So that's what happened to Putin. That's what we see happening to um, Doug Ford, where he constantly just degrades the rights of the people until you're in a dictatorship. So I watched the UFT memorial, and I thought I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed with a lot of presentations because I felt that the presentation should be reflective of the enormous battle that we have right now, where we are against old world views, the SSR, we're against Putin and his um, Stalinized viewpoints, and um, his Leninized, his no Stalinized, more Stalin, um, and the world is on the precipice of this battle, and we're in war. We're looking at what could be World War III in the face, which is essentially actually World War III. So I thought that it would be that the Remembrance Day ceremonies would be reflective and send a message and make us understand that we don't want to be here again. We need to um, we need to pause and rethink what we're doing so that we can create a better world and not be in the same situation that we were in how many years ago. Like, why are we so regressive right now? What is going on? You know what I mean? Like, the lives lost, this, that, and the third. It's like, so what I thought was to note is that these were all very underwhelming performances that lacked the ability to touch the heart. And I feel like, might I say, there's a culture on this earth that really does excel at making impactful ceremonies. Just look in our churches. Look in our churches. Look at what we're doing. Try to follow, like, everybody hates the word Michael Jackson, but I'm sorry. The type of concerts that he did were paralleled by any artist in this world. Talk about presentation, delivery, So I feel like if the um, powers that be, I don't want to say white people, okay? If the powers that be could have collaborated, we need to work together. Could have collaborated with some creative Black minds. These ceremonies might have been a little bit more impactful, a little bit more um, do justice to the situation that we're in. Like, they were just like blase, like there's nothing going on here. We're not on the precipice of World War III right now. We don't need to send no kind of world message. Ain't nothing over here but a chicken wing. When we just finished going through COVID-19, there's a whole bunch of, they're still going through it in China. We're still going through it in the schools. It's still in the schools. I did like that they made mention to that in the agenda with Steve Paikin, that, a lot of teachers aren't there. A lot of kids aren't there anyways. It's not really working. The back to school thing, it's not even happening. But anyways, I digress. um, yeah. Um, you know, there's always something to be said, right? Always something to be said, always something to be fixed. And I don't want to be a complainer, but it does say, we need to work together. And it seemed to be, I don't want to say a white people fest at the UFT memorial. They had their token indigenous person, but we need to become more together so that we could produce more meaningful messages. This was not a strong message. It was not resounding through the ages. It was not. Out. No, move from here. Now. Move. It was not. It didn't do justice to the state that we're currently in. It didn't do justice at all. And that is done through collaboration. And I talk to myself because I need to collaborate with more people, and maybe I can produce more of what I want to produce so that at my 40th birthday, I wasn't like crying. Maybe if I had some closer friends, more than one person to just grab my hand and be like, Michelle, we're going to check your mark. We're going to do this. You are going to just push through. And I don't care what your boss says. I don't care what they're trying to do to you at work. You are just going to push through. But I was just kind of like, by myself, you know? And when the devil can get you by yourself, he can knock you off of the playing field. He can take you out of the race, right? So, you know, um, one last thing, the occult, the chakras, the this, the that. A lot of people run to these things not knowing what they are. And I try to tell Yanni in his dying days that, you know, the chakra is a snake that runs through your body. You know, this is evil. This is not of God. It's not anything good for you. It's not going to do anything positive to you or for you. So last night I was at youth, and a woman who had just come away from all of that stuff, um, from running her own yoga school, and she was very big in the new age world and crystals and this and that and the third. And it's like, these things are demons, these things are devils that you're serving when you're giving your time to something, and your devotion to something other than God to fix your problems. You're giving your time to a devil. I could pick up this mug and I could start, meditating on this mug. This mug is going to fix my back. This mug is going to fix my back. I'm going to put this mug all around my head, and I'm going to go like this, and, the snake inside of me is going to start, and it's going to fix it. I have, sorry, this cup is going to align with the snake. Like, it's like, people don't hear how ridiculous. But anyways, and I think I'm giving my time to this cup. But the devil's just like, oh yeah, yeah, give your time to that cup. Give your time to that cup. Because the more unfocused I can get you on God, the more I can get you focused on me. So keep paying attention to that cup. And then he's gonna go deeper. He's like, oh, it's not just this cup, it's not this cup, it's this cup and the Starbucks cup. Actually, I'm gonna stop supporting Starbucks. So sorry, daughter-in-law, my no more Starbucks gift cards, because look at this woman here. What is this? Two legs open, and like what is this? This had to come from America, okay? Like, ain't no Canadian. We have Tim Hortons. It just says Tim Hortons. We don't have an idol. What is this picture? What is this woman that which is what? Yo, this is demonic. This is demonic. I need to get this out of my place right now. This is a devil. There is a devil running through this, and people might not understand the spiritual world, but there's literally a devil running through this cup right now. If you want to understand demons and angels and stuff that's going on here, this is a devil. This is a devil that I have in my house right now. Anything with this sign on it, I need to get rid of. So focus on God. People get hurt. People die in their life, their parents, whoever, and they want to go to the crystal eye and the crystals and the this and the that, and people in the school treated them bad, so now they want to do crystal work and this, that, and the third. It's a hole that gets deeper and deeper, because we got so many stuff in life for you to worship, for you to give your time to say, oh, this is going to fix all my problems. You know, um, and people keep on saying to me, Oh well, don't you have God? You should just figure it out. Just don't you have like can't you just pray and everything goes fine? No, that's not how God is not a genie. I guess that's how people go to tarot cards and they go to these things like it's a genie. No, God is holistic and he wants you figure things out. You go things about things in an intelligent way, figuring out yourself, figuring out what you're missing, figuring out what you need. So you have to talk to people, you have to get counselors. So in the multitude of counselors there is wisdom. You have to read your Bible. You have to it's an all prong approach. It's not just, oh, rub the lamp of God and no. When Jesus was healing people, he said your sins are forgiven, meaning like this is a holistic thing. We're going to be working out everything inside of you. Yes, you got your healing, but everything needs to be worked out. It's not just, oh, this problem goes away and you're just successful here. That's why you got to watch out with people who are successful because it's very interesting. It's very interesting because there was two children. There was Cain and there was Seth. Because remember, Cain killed Abel, so Abel was kind of taken off out of the race, you know. But he came back. But anyways, so Cain's family, the evil family, they were. It's very interesting. They were the very powerful people and the successful people. Seth now they called upon God and they were just normal people. They were, it says, neither give me neither poverty nor riches. You know, they were just normal people. So I don't want to say be leery of people who have abnormal success or be leery of people who are successful, but be leery of people who are successful because it's usually not of God. It's not of God to be that successful. Um, And it's because God is holistic and he's not just going to make you win the lottery. And I'm sorry, I refuse to play lottery because I don't want to say it's just stupid people who play the lottery because what happens to those people? Nothing. That's why they playing the lottery because, ain't nothing. It's just, you just throwing money into a hole. But anyways, at least if I'm dumb, let me be dumb and save my $5. Okay. Let me be dumb and save my $5 and not win a whole bunch of money just to lose it, just to frustrate myself, just to be in an addiction of gambling. Ugh, it sounds like a hot mess. It sounds like a hot mess and a half that I don't want. I got too much. I got too much mess in my life. I don't want no more. So, what was I saying? Um, Too many stuff to worship. That's not God. Um, oh shoot. What was I saying? Oh, be leery of people who are successful because a lot of times success is a trait of evil. There, I said it. Because God will always keep you in a way that you are humble, that you are needing him, that you are praying to him, that you are walking with God. He's not going to give you stuff that's going to get your walk off of him, to get your journey away from him. So we talk about Enoch. Look at Enoch. He was a family man doing his thing. Was he a rich person? No. He was a family man, and God just took him in to heaven, whole body and all, you know. And then the rest of the people, they were stark poor. They didn't have nothing because they were relying on God. So I'm not saying to equate rich with evil because there are good rich people. You have to understand nuance, but come away from the worship of things and trying to get things. And God is not just a magic genie to be rubbed when you want something. Like, oh God, I want this situation fixed. I want a husband. I want this. I want a house. I want to get through. Okay, we're gonna work through some stuff. But when you see that person have that instant gratification, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. And in the if I follow the Bible and the steps of the evil in the Bible, they were very successful people. They were very powerful people. But if I follow the steps of those who were spiritually sound, Seth's family, they were the first people to call out to God, first people to talk to God, the first people to walk with God. Were Seth's family. Were they very successful? No, they were in the middle ground. So we really have to balance things out, and we really have to get our perspective right. And I'm just going to read James 2:3 again to end, because people worship too many rich people these days. Aren't these people the ones putting you in jail, putting you before the judges? This is what it says. So these bourgeoisie, and that's where Marx was right, because he's saying like these bourgeoisie, they care nothing about the people they have working for them. Here we are, our working conditions are your children's learning environment, you know, and oh, just get back to work. You just get back to work. We don't care. We don't really, we the parents, the lazy parents. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I am a creative. I hate being called creative. I am creative, but I hate it when people call me that. It happens more often than it doesn't happen. But anyways, um, but the education that I wanted for my son was not in the schools. The education that I wanted for my son was in the universities, that's for sure. But in the schools, they're teaching like a jail cell, like in a jail cell, and having the kids them sit down like that. Like right now, the children are traumatized. They cannot learn that way. It has to be more play-based learning because of we're on the precipice of World War III. We're in a recession, famine, this, that, everything's going into bankruptcy. The kids are stressed, and nobody was talking about how sick they were, but now they are. These kids were in school and they were sick as dogs and they weren't learning nothing. So that's why your test scores are down, because you fail to look at the problem. But I digress. So these bourgeoisies, these lazy parents. I saw some parents the other day with their children, and I was appalled. I was shocked. This is how the culture is running off on me. I'm like, and who gave you the right to walk around with your 3-year-old? There was about 2 or 3 parents with their children during a school day, and I was like, what? Who authorized you to be with your children? Because we are so devoid from parents being with their children. We're in such a nanny culture that it is appalling. Like, oh, just send your kid to school, whether they're going to be dying or not, whether they're going to get COVID or not. Sorry. This whole thing does not need to come apart right now. Because it's life or death. Is this on my last? What's going on here? Anyways, I'll do it this after. Uh, if I can. What's going on here? What's going on? It's life or death. We're just part of a larger problem, which is the bourgeoisie takeover. Okay, let's be honest here, where parents are no longer supposed to be seen with their children. I think it's faux pas. I am with children all day, and I think now, like, oh, these parents shouldn't be with their children. They need to be at work while the kids are with no, no. Parents need to be with their kids. Sorry. When I was a mother, like what is that? I need a mirror. When I was a mom, there were so many things I wanted to teach my son. There was so much experiences for me to give him that school could not give him. So I would not be fighting to throw my son in the raggedy school system. We want to hear these parents today. Oh my gosh. And I see it. I see those kids whose parents are working with them at home. Those are the only ones that excel. You know, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the education crisis where the education system is failing. And only if you got that extra tutoring, that extra whatever, is your children any doing any type of well, to have any type of job, to support any type of self. Let's talk about that. But we're not talking about that now. We're not going to talk about that. So these lazy parents where kids need to go to school at all costs, I don't support it. I don't support it. I think it's abuse that these parents are sending their kids to school to get COVID. That these parents are sending their kids to school to get COVID. I think it's a telltale sign that they didn't want them kids anyways. I'll deal with that after. What the? Anyways, and yeah, what was I? Bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie is taking over. Lazy parenting is taking over. Lazy parents are taking over, where we expect to only see nannies with kids and not their actual parents. To be a parent, you have to be very creative. Okay, there. I guess I am creative. You have to be very creative. You have to come up with ways to teach your children and to service your children in ways that they will that will impact them, that will be desirous to them, and that will give them the abilities that they need in the future. And just plopping your kids in school is not creative or impactful or caring. These parents, they don't care about their kids. Just throw them in any environment. We don't care. Just get rid of them so that we can do what we want to do. Anyways, and ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, so, my brethren, I'll just read the whole thing. My brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons. For if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring, and goodly apparel, and there come also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place, say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool. Are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, has not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and hearers of the kingdom, which he has promised to them that love him? What part of the word of God are people not understanding or reading? It's like it's so plain. But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by the which ye are called? If ye fulfill the royal law, according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. So many injustices today by the bourgeoisie, by the higher ups, by the big bosses of the world, by the bosses of the world that are completely unjust to their workers, and y'all stand by them. Why? Because you think God is not watching. He knows. He gave you your ears. He knows the cries that you have heard. He gave you your eyes. He knows what you see. Anyways. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the laws as transgressors. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, I do not commit adultery, and said also, I do not kill. Now if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law. So speak ye, and so do, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. So this is talking about not using your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness, not using God's